Testing 1, 2. If you are on watching, getting ready for the meeting, can you let me know how the sound is? We're just checking the sound now. Got a packed house here at Diamond Head. Getting ready. Hey, Barry, can you just check the microphone?
Check 1, 2.
Beautiful. Thanks, Tom. All right, everybody. Patrick from the Neighborhood Company is going to do the presentation.
Well, in the tradition of Fort Myers Beach, check 1, 2. Test 1, 2. I have to get right up to this one. Test 1, 2.
Yeah, that one's check ours. 1, so if you walk away, I'm in trouble. So we're going to turn the camera around.
Welcome, everyone, to the Times Square reveal. My name is Barry Lawrence. I'll be your host this evening for introducing distinguished guests and just kind of keeping things organized. First of all, I'd like to say welcome to the event. This has been a long time coming, and it's been under planning. A lot of great elected officials, neighborhood group, and the ownership group working really hard to come up with a concept for Times Square. And I would like to recognize a few distinguished guests here tonight. Ed from Beach Radio is here tonight, so everybody stays informed. We have John King from the Town Council, Ray Sandell, County Board, Karen Woodson, Scott Stafford, Andy Hyatt, and he's a town manager. And so let's get this thing started. I'm sorry. Mike's here? I'm sorry.
Vice Mayor Jim Adams.
Oh, Jim's here. Vice Mayor's here. Sorry, Jim.
Vice President.
Vice President, I'm sorry. So I was asked to give a little about myself. I actually came here in 2007 and vacationed one time in Fort Myers Beach and fell in love with Fort Myers Beach. And then I went back to Afghanistan for 3 years. And then I got done. I came back to Fort Myers Beach. Haven't left since. I used to work at the Sunset Grill for Terry and Joe as an entertainer there for 10 years, singing 2 nights a week. And the day after the storm, I was probably the first one on Times Square looking at the damage because my wife and I rode the storm out about 3 blocks away. And so this is a really special day for me and for everybody concerned. And also I want to welcome the local residents are just here to find out what's going on and get a taste of what's planned for our future. And I just want to say thank you for attending today. So I don't want to waste any more time. We have a lineup of speakers for you tonight. We're going to start with Jackie. She's the president of the Chamber of Commerce here in Fort Myers Beach. Jackie, if you want to head on up here.
Okay, good evening. Thanks, guys. I wasn't warned. Well, I kind of was warned about this. I was voluntold that I needed to speak tonight. But I do have to tell folks it's critically important that we get our businesses back onto the beach, get them open, get them thriving, because without those, many of us who live and work on the beach don't have jobs. Without our businesses, many of us won't be able to get our basic goods and services back on the island. A haircut. I had to drive off the island for a haircut today. I know it's a little crazy, ran through the rain, but haircut, doctors, a lawyer. We're lucky to have a title company. We're lucky to have real estate agents on the beach. But what about a printer, a copy shop? What about things like, nail salon? What else? You guys all know. So every day, every one of us who's living on the beach has to leave the beach for some good or service. A liquor store, It's something down on this end. We have a hardware here, but not down on the south. We have liquor, we have gas on the south, but not on the north. So gas, it's really important. And there is a balance that can be achieved. I know that there's a lot of folks who are scared about too much overdevelopment. Look, I'm not thrilled about giant high rises or any of that either, but I think there's a way that everyone can work together to come and find balance and harmony and to support these projects that make sense, that are good design, good architecture, that are going to bring things back to the island that we critically need. And oh, by the way, when our guests come and visit, and they're going to keep coming, we are a tourist island. We've been a tourist island since the first person stepped foot here. We're going to be a tourist island long into the future. You can't stop it. But when they do get here, you want them to have fun. You want them to enjoy themselves. You want them to visit our businesses. You want them to be good neighbors while they're staying among us in the vacation rental homes. And you want them to tell everybody back home what a wonderful place this is to live, what a wonderful place this is to visit. And you want them to fill the pockets of our workers on the island so they can sustain their families. I can't tell you how critically important this is, folks. And it all ties together. You can't have one without the other on a barrier island that is a tourist destination. It's why many of us came here in the first place. How many of us came here to visit and came over that bridge? All of you who don't put your hands up, you didn't come to visit and come over the bridge? How did you get here? Yeah, well, it's one of our bridges, right? You all came to visit. You all came to see what it was. You all came to look at a house, stay with a friend, come to a business, come to dinner, come to lunch. Nobody just showed up here magically. And you all fell in love. And you all bought property. And you all bought businesses. And you all take care of those businesses by visiting, going out to eat. Who here doesn't go out to eat or drink somewhere on the island? Who here doesn't go to get their hair cut? Go to buy groceries. Go to, well, wait, you got a beard. You're getting your beard trimmed somewhere. So please, folks, kindness first, community second, togetherness third. I will not stand to see this island community divided because people have strong opinions and you're rightly entitled to those. But I will not stand to have this island divided by ugliness, by meanness, and by people who maybe just don't agree on a point, so they're going to just get ugly. We're not going to do that. We got through this hurricane as a community. We survived as a community. We are rebuilding as a community, and we need to support each other. We need to have good discourse. We need to have solid points given back and forth, and we need to give the folks who are opening businesses and who are rebuilding their homes, we need to give them some grace as they try to navigate this process. So God bless all of you. God bless Fort Myers Beach. God bless the United States, because that's what gives us our freedoms here. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Well done, Jackie. I've done a lot of events with the Chamber of Commerce, singing for them, and Jackie's amazing. Our next distinguished guest is a volunteer down at Rockies on Times Square. Let's invite Jim up to speak to you right now. Thank you. Sorry, Jim, they didn't give me your last name.
I'm not going to be as eloquent as Jackie there, but I did want to talk about what I do. Okay, what I do. One thing I do, I'm a resident of the island. We moved on the island after Hurricane Ian, but I'm also a realtor on the island. One thing I do is I volunteer at the Roxy in Times Square almost every Friday for the last year. And one of three of the main questions I get from visitors, whether they're coming from Canada, Europe, up north, or even just locally here in Miami or Cape Coral, is when is Times Square going to get rebuilt? The next question is, why is it taking so long? And then the third question is, this is a tough one for me, is why isn't somebody doing something to make this happen? Now, I know myself that it takes a lot to recover from a devastation like this. I've been through them before in the past. So it does take a lot for that to happen, but we do have to come together as a community. The vibe in downtown Times Square is or was prior to Ian amazing. Is a vibe that we all know, we all understood, and it was something that set us apart. And that vibe is still there, but it needs to be. We need to rebuild for that to come back. The community wants it rebuilt, and so do all our visitors. And again, they do support us. So my point here is just to let you know that out of the, I don't know, maybe 2,000 people I've met at the Roxy, every single one wanted to know why this wasn't happening sooner. It was a little bit easier to explain it to them, a year ago. It's a little tougher to explain it now. So I just would like to say that if we can all come together, and I know we're trying to, and I can tell by the presentation that we're going to see here soon, it's going to be amazing. And the vibe is going to be back on Fort Myers Beach. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Fantastic. Our next distinguished speaker is Dennis Wigman. He's a real estate agent for the Lee King Group. Is he out there?
Yeah, that's me.
Oh, there he is.
I told you further down the pecking order. That's good afternoon, everyone. Dennis Wagman here, and yes, I work with the Alex King Group here in Fort Myers Beach as a realtor. And I've been asked to speak about the effects of Times Square on the real estate market here in Fort Myers Beach. I want to thank everyone for inviting me to speak here. This is a very important day, and I'm very honored to be a part of this. As everyone else, we fall in love with the island, right? We fall in love with the surf and the sand, but what I fell in love with here is the people. And I mean that sincerely. Many of which are in this room here today. Okay, it's the people down here that bring me back and want me to stay and want me to be a part of this redevelopment of this beautiful island. So these gentlemen up here on the front table that are owners and contributing to the rebuilding of Times Square, thank you. What you're doing is tough. You're business people. Just like the rest of us, you don't have a money tree you go out and put money off of. Okay? That's not reality. We have to support this. Get behind this 1,000%. This is the heartbeat of this island. Fort Myers Beach is Times Square. So how's it going to affect the real estate world? Well, before I do that, let's go back a little bit. As we all know, the Calusa Indians used to inhabit this island years ago. This was their home. This is where they fished. This is where they raised their families. This is where they enjoyed their life. Then in the 1800s, it started getting settled with folks, fishermen, farmers, making a new life for themselves here on Fort Myers Beach. And then in 1862, the Homestead Act first became here on Fort Myers Beach. So now more folks coming and living here, more folks staying here. I'll get back to real estate in a minute. Just bear with me. I want to set the stage from behind to now and then going forward, what we have to do and how we have to get our mindsets, in my opinion, on this opportunity. So next we have more folks coming to Fort Myers Beach, as Jackie mentioned, vacationers. In 1911, the first cabins were built here for vacation renters. Then we have casinos coming to Fort Myers Beach. Okay? And then in the 30s, more development, more guests, more visitors. Then in the 50s, this conglomeration called Times Square comes up on this island. This little island where nobody's living yet. It's not really huge. What are we going to do about this? Oh my gosh. And now this very thing that some people probably opposed back then and were nervous about, concerned about, that's now the very thing we lament the loss of, was Times Square. Right after Ian, we miss it. It's iconic to this island. Okay, we got disconnected from it. Coming over that bridge, nothing like it, right? We need to bring that back. We need to bring that back. Yes, it's going to be taller. It has to be taller. It's the only way it's going to work. Building codes, we all know about the building codes. Everyone knows about the building codes. Plus, these gentlemen and ladies aren't asking for 50 stories high. They're looking for something that's going to make financial sense to them. No one builds something to take a loss. No one builds something to lose money. So we have to be cognizant of this And that's the reality of what these ladies and gentlemen are dealing with, and trying to come up with a solution here that we can all enjoy. So there goes my rant for Times Square. Looking forward to the real estate market. Yes, of course, this is going to have a positive effect on the real estate market here in Fort Myers Beach, just like all the other things that are right now being talked about and right now being discussed among the LPA and the council and developers and other folks that are looking to rebuild this island. So on one hand, the real estate market's complicated. On the other hand, it's not. Okay, same thing with what these folks are doing here and building up their Times Square. We have to have certain building codes now that we must build by. And yes, it's going to cost more today than it did 10, 15, 20 years ago to build. And just like today, it's going to cost less than 10, 15, 20 years from now to build a new home. So we need to look forward. We need to understand the realities of what we need to deal with. And I am absolutely delighted to be here. The real estate market is strong in Fort Myers Beach. As Alex brought up in a recent market analysis, we've got a lot of buyers coming to town now. We've got people who believe in us now. We have people who recognize, okay, it's getting better. They're healing. Not as fast as any of us would like, okay? And there's a little pain with this, but we're getting there, and people are recognizing it. I mean, you drive up and down Estero Boulevard, you see new construction everywhere. You go off the side streets, we see new construction everywhere. So, folks, it's happening. Not how we want it, none of us, of course, but it's happening. We're going in the right direction, and I am just so glad to see what's happening here on the island. And for what it's worth, my small part, I'm glad to be a part of it, and I'm looking forward to bigger and better things for Fort Myers Beach. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You know, one great thing about this group here is, you know, if you think about it, they're building competing businesses. They take up each other's space, but as a conglomerate, they make an experience for all the people that come here locally and all around the world that come here. So what they're doing is amazing. So our next speaker is Chris Primo. He's actually one of the owners. So let's welcome Chris to the stage.
Good evening, everybody. I have to tell you, public speaking is probably not my strong suit. The situation that happened to us in Times Square has been one of the hardest things to overcome. I was able to get on the island pretty soon after the storm, and I ran into Tom Houghton down there. We were picking through the debris, and the first thing he says is, "What am I going to do about my people? How am I going to get my people back to work?" And I was more concerned about my problems. Like, I had just lost 3 buildings, and our other business was out. And my early thinking was, in order for me to come back, everyone has to come back. And I needed to stop thinking about myself and help other people. And it's really took the focus off of all my own issues. Early on, it was difficult on how to help. How do I best help everyone down there? And for me, it was simple, just to say yes. It was the simplest thing. Any request that I got, I just said yes to it. Whether I'm good at it or not remained to be seen, but I just kept showing up. I put about 40,000 miles on my truck in 1 year. I live in Clearwater. And so coming down here and trying to get everyone back up was paramount. I do have a little story. I think it was about 3 weeks after the storm, and I met with Terry and Joe down in Times Square. And we went over to Wahoo Willie's to talk about what we were going to do in Times Square. So we break out a cocktail napkin. And we're drawing on this cocktail napkin, thinking about what we can do. And these guys have not let up since then. I mean, they are, every night before I go to, when I wake up and before I go to sleep, I think about Fort Myers Beach. What are we going to do? How do I get it back? And I'm blessed to have, a lot of these people have become heroes in my life. Like, I'm so impressed with some of the people and the way they reacted after this. That it's the human spirit that exists in this community is important. That we don't let all this development get in the way of that. we all lost a lot. You know, we need to support each other. It's very important. And a lot of people are very sensitive about the growth of this island. People fell in love with this island. And then they want to protect it. They're like jealous lovers or something. I don't know, but you know, you have to, I'd like to think it's my beach, but it's everyone's beach. You know, we have to share it. That's all I got.
Now, if you're ever walking on the beach and you see all the ladies stopping by the little jewelry store, there's a little shop there. It's Natalie. Where's Natalie at? Here she comes.
Thank you for the invitation. My name is Natalie, and I'm the French glass artist behind 3 Escargot, the little kiosk in Times Square. I've been a vendor there for over 20 years. I'm very excited to contribute to the culture of Fort Myers Beach and what makes it so special and so unique. We acknowledge loss and a landscape that has changed forever, yet the heart of Times Square is still beating. I look forward towards a near future where Times Square is whole again and vibrant, where business can thrive, including small shops, art, entertainment, cuisine. I'm excited to see what comes next, and I'm grateful for the opportunity.
I just got a text. If you're speaking, put the mic up to your face. So everybody can hear you. We got an insert here. We got Matt Price from Seagate. There he is. Come on up, Matt. I don't know, you think he knew he was going to speak.
I guess I'm talking, huh? Hi, guys. Had no idea I was talking, so thanks for inviting me, Terry. I think Terry was the one who got me, or Joe. I don't know who did it. I've been very vocal on Times Square. Obviously, we made a big investment in Fort Myers Beach. We're looking to do more down on the beach. And I keep bringing it up to everyone that'll listen to me how important Times Square is to the whole island, to any of the new developers coming in and everyone that lives here. It's the heart, blood, it's the soul of the island. No matter where you are in the island, it's always going to be there, and everyone's always going to look towards it as the center of town, and that's where everyone's going to want to go. So whether it's our project or somebody else's project, everyone who lives there or stays there is going to want to go down the center of town and enjoy it. And I am really, really impressed with the drawings that came out. I had a couple of critiques when I first saw a couple of them, Joe, when we met, but I think they did a great job, and I'm really excited for the momentum they're getting down there. I can tell you as a developer how hard it is to just bring one developer to bring a conceptual something like this together. When you're talking about multiple owners of properties, this is such a amazing feat that they even got to this point, because when you have that many people in a room, it's a really tough bar to get to. So great job, guys. And I'm excited for the progress you've made, and hopefully seeing this come out of the ground sooner rather than later. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Tiffany. She's an agent that works with small businesses here, and she's our next speaker tonight.
I'm subbing in for Lori, who unfortunately had a meeting and got COVID out of it, so she couldn't be here. What I wanted to talk about is that ever since this process started 18 months ago, we started thinking, how can we help small business? And I have a background in land entitlement, and really the things that we can't control are the processes. But what happened put every single small parcel under an acre into a position where it's non-conforming. And every single small business who had a property that was also non-conforming couldn't move forward. What it would normally require is about $100,000 in a year in the permitting process. Well, that's a lot to afford for a small business, especially when you don't have your doors open and you're not getting any cash in the doors. So what we had started working on a long time ago was a preposition whereby Basically, and I'm going to check my notes just to make sure I've got this right. Basically, that we are using the deviation process instead of going in for a whole new CPD, using the deviation process to get these small businesses underway quicker. And the deviation process is used all the time, but this is a way to cut about a year and $100,000 off of all these small businesses' costs. It did go before council. It didn't make it last time. What we really need for it to get it through, and it's not changing what they can do, it's just making the process so much faster and less costly, because small businesses just don't have that kind of cash laying around after they've been trying to rebuild and deal with insurance and all those other things. We are encouraging you guys to please, if you're a small business or a non-conforming lot on the beach, come out and get behind this. Come up and say, tell your leaders that this is something that you need. It's not just something that you want to be flagrant. You really need it. It's a business expense, and it's not coming back to you in any fashion. I know there's at least 50 businesses and at least that many lots that are affected by this directly. Those are businesses and properties that could be up and running within a year rather than 2 or 3 years. And that's the difference to everyone at the beach. Everybody needs this. So we are looking to host a meeting either this coming Wednesday or the following Wednesday, the 26th. So if any businesses would like to attend, and have a say in how they can help or what their business problems have been. We're going to do that via Google Meets, and it's free. So please contact me or see me after the meeting and get me your email address so that we can include you in that. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany. We have one more speaker for you right now. It's Patrick Vaness. He's one of the creators and part of the ownership group. And thank you for everybody for being here tonight. Let's give a hand to Patrick.
Okay. I don't have much space here. Okay. Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Patrick Vaness. I'm a certified planner with the Neighborhood Company. I am also a 21-year beach resident. I am a father with kids that go to the beach school. I'm one of the parents that fought for that school. And like many of you, I'm a homeowner rebuilding his house and working hard every day to get that done. I want to thank the ownership group in trusting me and my company and my business partner who's here and my whole staff in coming up with a design for Times Square. I thank you, the public, for coming out, the residents for coming out. We want input. Everybody has to understand that this is just a starting point. We are here today to articulate a concept, a vision for Times Square. And that's a vision that the owners have put together. It's something that is dear to their heart. It's something that they want to see rebuild, but it's from their perspective of what is feasible for them on their private property. But they also understand that Times Square is a public jewel and that people have very fond memories of Times Square and cherish that public place. So the idea is we are starting tonight with a concept that we're putting out there. We want feedback. We want feedback from the community, from visitors, from residents, from the town, and from the county. And we're going to move forward and we're going to make refinements. And we are going to move towards getting approvals and getting this out of the ground and having a great Times Square in the near future. So this slide really embodies the design elements that we were trying to capture for Times Square. As you can see, we have both architectural elements that we wanted to incorporate that were important to the owners and to the design group, but also functional elements that we had to take care of and regulatory elements that had to be incorporated. So one of the first things that you'll notice, we've got a nice archway, which is creating a sense of place that's really identifying where you are in this world and that you're at Times Square. And this is a significant landmark for Fort Myers Beach and Lee County. This is an entertainment district. This is an area where you can dine, you can shop, you can have fun, and you can go for a cocktail or two. So we also wanted to embrace the history of Times Square and the history of Fort Myers Beach by having an archway. And the design's a little different to the historic archway that we had coming onto the beach, but we wanted to tie that in. So what you see there is also the logo of the town. So we think this is a great place for visitors to come, take some pictures, let people know where they are. You've got the latitude, longitude identified also on that archway. Some other elements to point out is the coastal architecture that was very important to all the owners and a lot of the feedback that we got from the community. So what you'll see is some Bahama shutters, some louvers, pergolas, trellis, to give it that coastal beachy feel. Another thing to point out is the overall design where we put a lot of effort into articulating the building, stair-stepping the buildings, and really making sure that the massing is pedestrian friendly and that the buildings don't look overwhelming. Another thing that we did is obviously we had to deal with coastal regulations. So what you'll see is all the buildings are elevated. However, it was very important to keep that connection with the beach and the connection with connecting roadways and adjacent uses. So all the buildings are built up on stilts. You can have uses at the ground level. We have a perfect example of that at Margaritaville, where they have the La Di Da venue, which is built at the ground level, but everything is hardened, resilient, and can sustain flooding, and you can clean it up real quick and reopen soon after a storm. Another element, for example, is we've got a parking lot right there at the base of the bridge, and those are functional issues that we have to deal with. And we've incorporated that parking lot into the overall design and to make it more aesthetically pleasing and to fit in with the overall concept. Other things that we've done is we want to make sure that we have vibrant colors. This is a fun, funky, eclectic district, and we wanted to convey that in the architecture. So the next slide gives you an aerial view of Times Square, and I'll just walk you through the ownership of this property and what was there before the storm. So on the left side is Crescent Beach Park, and that's a county-owned park. As we move towards the west, we've got a property owned by Terry Prasad. That is the existing parking lot, and that was Sunset Grill. As we move over, we've got a property that was owned by Brad Benson and owned by his estate now. And that was where the Doug's Sunglass Shop was and some of those retail kiosks. Next to that, we have the property that was where the Pier Side and Dairy Queen used to be, also owned by Terry Prasad. As we move further out, we have Lynn Hall Park, which is a county park. And going back to the other side, we have a property owned by Chris Primo and his sister, Lisa Lageman. And that is where the West Coast Surf Shop used to be and La Ola Restaurant. Next door to that was Local Color, and that's also a Brad Benson estate-owned property. And so is the next one over here that used to be Margaritas. And next to that, we have a property that is owned by Mike DeWitt and Joe Orlandini, and that used to be Pete's Time Out. And the last two properties were who are part of this ownership group that got together for the design. We've got the old Plotkas that was owned by the Mylakakis family. And my understanding is that might be under contract for a sale, but we welcome the new owners and we'd love to be part of that discussion. And last but not least, we have the old Kilwins that is owned by Carlos Chavez, who's on our panel over here today. And on the other side, what you see in white are existing buildings that survived the storm. Those encompass Cold Stone, Mr. Waves, H2O retail shop, 2000 Flavors ice cream shop, and the Bella Mozzarella pizza and grill. So next slide shows you a view of Times Square from the other end. As you can see, we've got the historic clock that has been refurbished and put in Times Square. It gives you a view down Times Square and shows you the significance of creating a pedestrian walkable plaza. You've got the various architectural elements that I discussed to make it coastal, make it beachy, and also the articulation in the buildings to really create a human size and walkable district. Next slide is a view from the same end looking down Times Square. What you'll see is we kept the tree-lined street. Also, what you can see there is garage doors that could be used for each property. Each property would be a separate bay up on stilts. And again, when you have great weather outside, those doors would be wide open. You'd have a lot of outdoor seating, a lot of activity at the ground level. And where you have inclement weather or when you shut down at night, you can bring those garage doors down and secure your private property. Other things to point out is that walk that we've incorporated on the second level. Again, all these businesses at ground level can have seating, they can have entertainment there. However, when it comes to infrastructure, electrical, all that stuff, it has to be built above base flood elevation and have disconnects. So the kitchens for these restaurants, for these bars, would be on the second level. And most likely the more formal sit-down restaurants would be at that level. And this walkway would interconnect all the businesses and provide an opportunity for visitors, patrons to go from business to business. Also, we have some crosswalks to make it easy access for everybody. This is same view looking down Times Square, but from the other end, we see the pier on the right corner. We also see the various levels, the open porches, the varied roof lines. And what you can see here is we've got 2 levels over base flood elevation with open decks. Also towards the middle, we stair step the buildings and we go up to 4th floor. And we thought that that middle area, as you stair step it, would be great for lodging and to have a little more height towards the center. So going back to the aerial of Times Square, I want to point out infrastructure issues that all the owners have to consider and really have to work together to make this a reality. First one is obviously when it comes to creating a sense of place and branding this district, and the archway is a perfect example. It would be very hard for someone to work independently and do that on their own. But as a group, as an association, you can have that branding, you can have that common theme, and you can have a district where each building looks a little different, but there is unified architectural elements that ties everything together. The other thing is this walkway at the second level that ties all the shops together, and these crosswalks that allow easy access. And what I'll point out is the middle crosswalk right there is right dead center where there is separation between the building, and you would have a clear view of the beach and our beautiful sunsets, and water. Another thing to point out is at the ground level, by creating these elevated bays, we have really increased that connectivity to the beach. So if you can imagine, during the day when all these garage doors are up, you will have light, you will have views of the water, and you will have the opportunity to walk through those businesses and have access to the beach directly. Another component is elevators. These are two proposed elevators. This one on this end over here is the elevator shaft that still stands on the surf shop property. It would most likely have to be rebuilt, and it would be a little taller than it is today. But this would serve as a way for everybody at this end of the Times Square to get up to second level and visit all these businesses. And then on the other end, we have another elevator. If not for collaboration and these property owners working together, you can just imagine that maybe each of these properties would need an elevator, or they would need independent stairwells for each of their businesses. So there's a high cost to that, but there's also a cost when it comes to space and being able to provide great places. And if you can share some of those common elements and share some of that infrastructure, you can save money and make it more feasible economically. But also you can make a better place where you don't have to have so much mechanicals and back of the house infrastructure. Another element that I'm showing here is on the land side of Times Square, where we've got some of the existing buildings, there's an easement between the back of those buildings. And that easement is used for deliveries. It's used for access for employees. It's used for garbage recycling. And the idea is to elevate and have a walk in the back of all those properties at the second level. So you can have deliveries where people come in, go up the elevator, go the back way at the second level, and deliver to those lodging establishments or those restaurants. What this depicts is the importance of creating interconnections. Again, Times Square is a landmark. It's a place we all love. It's very important to this community, but it is also connected to the rest of our downtown. So what we depict here is connection to the pier, connection to Lynn Hall, connection to Old San Carlos and the rest of downtown, and eventually the Bayfront, and connection to Crescent Beach Park. And last but not least, what we are showing here is the potential for an elevated crosswalk. We all know there's going to be a turning circle at the base of the bridge eventually, and we are going to have to address pedestrian issues and traffic issues. And this is just a concept. We just put it there. We want it to be part of the discussion. We want it to be evaluated by the town, by the county, by the residents. And we just show this as an opportunity for the future. So in closing, this is our last slide. This depicts a beautiful day on Fort Myers Beach and really shows the effort that was made to tie in some of the old with the new, and to tie in some of the elements like the curvy wall at Times Square, future bandstand, the clock, the pier, and also to show that each individual property and property owner and each building can have its own theme and its own character, but have a unified development which benefits everyone. So we identified Plaka here. And as you can tell, we went with a Greek theme, but I think this theme ties in with everything else that we've done. We show the awning for Kill Wins. I don't know if those businesses are coming back, but we know there's going to be a diversity of businesses, and all these things can meld together and create a amazing entertainment district. So with that said, I will close things by reiterating that this is a starting point. This is a vision from the property owners, and they understand the importance of Times Square. They know it's a town jewel and that people have strong feelings about this district. They are open to discussion. They understand that this design is going to be refined over time. So we want to work with the public. We want to work with the town. We want to work with the county in refining this. And hopefully, real soon, we will have refined designs, final designs that can go to permitting entitlements. And this might take the shape of a CPD rezone or a development agreement. And at that point, you would get a lot more detail and a lot more of the engineering and architecture and some of those functional elements would be discussed and addressed in detail. So I thank you very much for coming out here. I thank you for your interest. The ownership group is going to stick around. So will the design team. We're happy to talk to you one-on-one and field your questions and happy to hear your feedback. We also have comment cards at the front. If you don't want to speak to us one-on-one, feel free to leave your comments. And please sign in. We are going to have an ongoing mailing list, and we are going to give updates as to what's happening with Times Square. So thank you very much. Ownership group, thank you for entrusting us with your baby. We appreciate it, and we look forward to a prosperous and exciting Times Square. Thank you.
Before Brent gets up, some lady has lost their lovely dolphin earring. So if you have dolphin earrings, see me, I have one of them. Thank you all for attending. Thank you. Talk to all your friends. Tell them get excited about it. Talk to all your local representatives. Let's get this ball rolling. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. It was an exciting day. Thank you.